Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Welcome back to A Good Pour. I am Kathryn Good, your host. Today we are doing something very fun. We've had a previous guest, Amy Gleaves, a life coach and a very good friend of mine, and we're going to let AI guide our conversation today.
Okay. This will be fun.
So what I did is you were on like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to see.
I feel like it was it 2 years ago or was it early last year?
Was it early last year? Hold on, I can tell you. Oh man, oh gosh, I've lost some weight since then.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting a little older since then. We both have on black too. We're the same.
Okay, where do I see the stupid date on YouTube? I don't know. June 18th, 2024.
Wow. Okay.
So
wow.
So
A lot has changed.
A lot.
A lot.
So
Okay.
what I wanted to do, this is my experiment.
Okay.
I loaded the summary.
Okay. That's what we talked about.
Of what we talked about. And so typically, especially when I have first time guests, it's like, tell me about you and the good work you add to the world and how you pour back into yourself. And all those things are still true. But since you have your own podcast, Unquiet You, which is still one of my favorite names for a podcast ever. There's a dog. Anyway, okay. So this is going to be a weird day, I think, Josh. Okay. So it has all those transcripts, right? So, which is why we talked about doing the podcast can help all kinds of marketing, especially as we try to show up in AI.
Yes.
So I asked it to go and pull just some research based on your transcripts. And it said, Unquiet You is a weekly show for women who want to stop shrinking and start living with intent and confidence.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Episodes explore identity shifts, purpose, boundaries, self-trust, emotional growth, faith, and life transitions. So everything.
Everything. Yeah. I feel like we've touched on all of it.
Amy speaks from personal experience, especially around growth, healing, divorce, confidence, and self-worth.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I asked it for, based on our last conversation. So the conversation we had last time, how has Amy's journey changed or shaped? Because I know you don't love the word change, but I mean, how have you been shaped since you were on the podcast last? So we're going to take these one at a time. And I really want to know, because I think it's so interesting, one, that we can put our words and then they're in a transcript and then now they're showing up in, wherever.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I also think it's a summary based on all these transcripts.
Okay.
And so I'm curious what you think. So you have moved from guide to witness. Earlier, Amy focused on helping others move forward. Now you speak as someone who has walked through disruption yourself. Your voice carries lived credibility, not instruction. What do you think about that?
I think that's very true. I think everything I speak on, I have lived through. And I think everything I speak on is just from experience in different ways. And even if I didn't personally experience it, whether it was my child or someone, but pretty much everything I speak on, I think I've lived through. Yeah.
You speak more from the middle, not the outcome. Before, your story centered on helping people reach clarity. Now you talk openly from inside the process. You name the uncertainty, grief, rebuilding, and choice while standing in it.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that was a big shift for me, learning, especially going through from our first podcast. I've been divorced. There's just been a lot, right? And I think the being in it is where the real change and growth and the struggle, it's all in it, but also that's where the outcomes have a purpose at the end, And so I think there's a lot of my journey that I don't know that there is an outcome. And I think that's something that I talk a lot to my clients about is we're not chasing an outcome. Like we are growing as people every single day and learning to adjust. And so, yeah, I think the middle part is actually where it all happens.
I really like that word.
Middle?
Middle.
Yeah.
Just, we don't know if we're at the beginning of something or the end of something. Or
Well, I think you're always in all of it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when you're in the middle of a life transition, you're at the end of what you've closed, and now you're just going to be in the beginning of what's next. And then especially if, I look at life as just constantly growing and learning. And that doesn't mean that I'm constantly chasing the next thing, but I'm constantly evolving as a human. And so I don't know that I hope there's not an end. I don't want there to be an end, honestly. Like I don't ever want to wake up and be like, I'm as good as I'm ever going to be. And,
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay. You softened. You softened certainty and strengthened honesty. Your language has shifted from confidence rooted in answers to confidence rooted in truth. You allow nuance, you allow tension, and you trust your listeners to sit with hard things.
Yeah, I think that's a big shift. That's interesting. Like now that we're talking about this, like just thinking back to our podcasts and different things. But yeah, I think a lot of people in the beginning saw when I would go through something, people would say to me, well, you just make it look so easy. And it's not at all easy, but it's just the tools I'm learning along the way. I don't have to break down every single time something gets hard. And so I think learning that the hard happens and it's just normal. Life is 50-50. We're never always going to be happy. And I don't ever want that, And so I think learning the hard truths and like sitting in them and letting them move through us, not trying to avoid them I just think that that's what makes us go to the next level. And
yeah, I love that. Your work now speaks directly to women in transition. We've talked a lot about that, when we talk about marketing. And we're always all in transition. It's just the bigger transitions are easier to name.
Yes.
Divorce, job.
Yes.
When we're shifting an identity for whatever, emotional rebuilding, this says, I love that. But you are no longer trying to serve everyone. You know who you serve best.
That's true. I think that I think everything is focused towards women. It's interesting. I had a man reach out to me. He was referred to from a woman client that I have. And he was like, well, are you only working with women? And I'm like, the work I do is for everyone. But I feel like the majority of the people that are attracted to what I do and that respond are women. Mm. And so I think I still work with some men. I just think that the women, whether it's in business or personal, I just think that there's something that I can relate to with them a little bit differently. And so, yeah, I love coaching men. I just think that because I'm a woman who's been in so much transition and gone through so much growth and so many things. I always say, like, I am very much a girl's girl, but I'm also a guy's girl. Like, I'm not one who's like girl power only. I do think there's room for all of us. And I think that everyone has talents. And I just think that I gravitate more towards the women for the most part. Yeah.
I actually remember when you were like, I really enjoy working with men. And you do.
Yeah. It's actually really fun. It's just very different. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but we've built the entire brand.
I know. And I'm always torn with that because I'm like, I do coach men and I can coach men. And I like the men that I do coach have great success. But it's just, there's something at the core of me about working with women.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Strength used to sound like accountability and forward motion. Now it sounds like rest, boundaries, self-trust, and staying present when life feels unstable.
I would say that's very true, but I also think there's accountability. I think all of that is true, but you still have to move. I think this is where a lot of people get confused with like rest versus movement and taking action. I think rest is an action when it's put in the right position.
We can't just constantly rest.
Right. No. You can't constantly
That's
rest.
probably called depression.
Well, I think it's just an inaction, right? It's like when you're constant and people will say this to me that, well, I just need to rest. I just need to rest. I'm like, do you need to rest or are you avoiding the hard work? Because there's a big difference. And I ask myself that all the time. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I just need a day. And I'm like, do you need a day? Because if so, let's take it. But are you just avoiding something that's uncomfortable to get you where you want to be?
How do we know the difference? Do you feel like, do you just, if we ask the tough question,
yeah,
we'll know?
I think you ask the tough questions. And I think sometimes it's like, I always say to myself, especially if I'm like trying to plan for a podcast or I don't know, like just doing something that's kind of out of my like daily routine of coaching. Sometimes it'll kind of feel overwhelming to me. And I'm like, oh, I think my body's exhausted today. I just need a day of rest. And I'm like, but what if you just did one of those things? And then if I can do one of those things and then I still feel like that, if I feel I need rest, I'll just be like, take the rest of the day. It's not, but if I do it and I'm like, I was just trying to find an excuse for my brain to not have to focus on something.
Yeah, I think you've always coached accountability.
Yeah.
And that may be accountable to you in the sense that there's a client sitting down with you and just saying, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
But even to yourself.
I think that's my biggest gift that I learned along the way. And I think that's why I do so well is I am accountable to myself every second of the day. And I think that's where when clients come to me, that's the number one thing that they have to accept is accountability and looking in the mirror. And I think we are, as a society, we have been taught to blame everyone. Like even schools getting closed out, right? You get on social media, it just made me laugh at the people that were like blaming everyone else and I'm like, sometimes life happens. And also it's what you do with it. It has nothing to do with if they close schools or not. It's how you're handling it and what you're choosing to do with it. And I just think we've lost accountability in this world. But anyone, I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, if you track anyone that you look up to, anyone in business who's doing what you wish you could be doing or any of those things, they're accountable to themselves. Like they get up and they do the hard stuff every single day.
So when do you know it's time for rest? Is there
I built in rest, right? Like, I just do. So I just had a crazy January where I, bought a house, sold a house, moved. My daughter got married, snowstorm, everyone in town. Like there was a lot.
There's a lot.
And I knew I had to do it all. I didn't have to, I chose to, but like I had purposely crammed it all in 3 weeks. One, because I knew I would get things done faster, but also because I wanted, when the wedding came, I wanted it all to be settled and all that stuff. So, but I told myself every single day I planned it out and I gave myself a cutoff time every single night. It was 7 p.m. So every single night, my daughter and I would sit down and have dinner and then we would chill and we would go to bed and get our sleep. Like I knew
that's good.
That if I could push myself till midnight, but I also knew there was a better chance that I would get burned out and sick. And the last thing I needed was to be sick for my daughter's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I need a cutoff time.
It's great.
I try to have a cutoff time, but it's...
Well, you don't try. You just do.
I know. You hate that word. Okay. Well, I'll say this. I will start the day and I'm like, at 6 o'clock, I'm done.
Okay.
And then, especially if Seth hasn't come home yet or at the house, like then no one else is home.
Keep going.
Then I keep going. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I could have been fixing dinner or like starting, even if he's on the way home, I could have been, but it's my fault. I need to do it and not try. Right.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need to do it more realistically for your schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of saying 6, knowing that 6 o'clock, you're still going to want to finish up some things. Maybe it's 7, right? It's like there's a part of me that's like, when my daughter's done with school and we're in the zone of tennis at 3, I'm like, just be done for the day. But I'm like, that's not realistic because I know there's things I still want to get done for the day. So I don't tell myself 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I'll give myself a later deadline, but then I pretty well stick to that deadline.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Let's see what else. You have centered self-trust over self-improvement. Earlier work emphasized growth through action. Current work emphasizes listening, honoring internal signals. I think we just talked about that, and choosing alignment over performance.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the difference in being busy, right? I think I was just having this conversation with a client who kept saying they were lazy. And I'm like, I don't believe anyone's lazy. I actually believe whether we're taking action or not, you are taking action, right? So a lack of action is action. It's just you're not taking aligned action. So people want to know that, people tell me I'm just so busy, my day, I just do. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're not doing anything that's getting you towards your goals or where you want to be. You're doing, my daughter's a prime example, and she, works really hard at tennis and really hard at her school goals. But there are some days I can tell when she's off track because she'll clean my house and she'll want to do my laundry and and I'm like, all of that's fabulous, but it's not reaching your goals, right? It's like
she's avoiding
because, and so it's, and I think we all do that to some sense. I do it sometimes. I don't clean. Maybe I wish that was more of what I would do when I would avoid, but I'll go work out more or something like that. But yeah, it's like, we all take action. It's just, we're not all aligned with our action. Mm-hmm. And I think the self-trust, something that I think I've been talking more and more about that because people don't have trust. People are very quick to say, well, I don't trust others, or I don't trust this, or I don't trust my decisions. And it all comes back to trusting yourself. I have, through lots of coaching and learning, that I'm back to trusting myself. I trust that even when I have a hiccup and I'm like, I need to take the day off, I just know I'm going to get up the next day and keep going. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about, well, if I take one day off, I'm not going to do it tomorrow, because I'm just so aligned with where I'm going now. And sometimes I have to check in. Sometimes I have to be like, are we really taking the right actions here? Or, but I've just learned to trust myself so much. And I think that's what makes me not afraid of the outside world, because if someone lets me down, or if something doesn't work out with a client, or if I've had to tell some people that I don't think I'm a right fit for them. And a lot of people that I know who have businesses, they're like, why would you turn that down? And I'm like, because I just trust myself enough to know that that wasn't beneficial for them, and it wasn't beneficial for me. And I have to leave that room open for what's meant for me. Mm-hmm. So I think I think from a young age, people start to lose self-trust because we rely on other people's opinions, and then other people's opinions don't get us where we want to be. And then we're mad at them when it's really just, we haven't learned to trust our own decision-making.
Yeah, that's so true. Do you see, you and I with Ainsley's tennis and her journey, and really your interaction with children or, girls her age, right? Do you see where that starts to happen? Mm-hmm.
I think as parents, we start creating this so young, where we make all the decisions for them. I think people forget that even a toddler, like, yes, you have to guide them and it's your responsibility, all the things, but there are decisions they can make. Mm-hmm. And I think the younger you allow a kid to be able to make decisions, even if it's like, do you want white milk or chocolate milk or whatever it is, right? Like, it's not life-changing, like safety issues or anything, but they have to learn to start trusting their own decision-making. Because I think you get out there and any sport is big on this with kids, but with tennis, you're by yourself. It is you against your opponent, and everyone is watching you, and the mental strength you have to have. And if you're constantly worried about what someone else is, my daughter for the longest time would come off her court and she would say, well, I know you're mad at me, or I know you had this thought. And I'm like, but it was all based off my face. And I'm like, I don't have a thought. Like, this is you. Like, this is your game, your match, but you're giving me that power because you didn't get the turnout that you wanted. Mm-hmm. And so now you're coming to me because you want me to create the trust that you actually have inside of you.
I've never thought about that with that sport. Like, you're there by yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching you. Whoever's there, right?
Yeah, right.
And then it's just you're in your head.
Yeah. This is why a lot of kids love doubles. She's more of a singles player. She's just getting into the world of doubles, but it is. We were at a tournament 2 weeks ago and that place was so quiet. And I'm, in my brain, I'm thinking these poor kids, like there's not a noise. No one's making a sound. And it's just them on a court.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, especially at that age anyway, where you don't really want people looking at you. Like you already have issues about your looks and all the things anyway, just as a teenager.
Well, and if you make a mistake, I mean, it's on you.
It's on you.
There's not a teammate right here that you can blame or say we should have done this. It is all on you.
Or to pick up this, if you're having a rough day, you don't have a teammate who can kind of carry the weight there. That is the upside to doubles, right? Like I think you both have strengths and you can kind of help each other in the weakness arena. But the other side to that is, man, the resilience she's learning now. I mean, I think statistically, like tennis players are some of the top entrepreneurs, as they get older because they've already gone, you go through so many things along the way. But so I think being forced to trust yourself, it kind of stings, but it's also very rewarding at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So I asked it specifically about good work because this is what we talk about here. You treat good work as becoming, not fixing.
Yeah.
Your message has moved away from helping people feel whole again. It now reflects honoring who they are becoming, even when nothing feels resolved yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really good.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way to describe it. Because I think, I think a lot of people, when they first come to me, their first words are like, I feel broken or not good enough. That's the underlying thing. And it's like, man, it's actually where you're at right now. That's going to take you to the next level. It's not that you are broken or there's something wrong, right? It's like, so I think that too, like I stress that so much to people because it breaks my heart when someone feels like they're not, and I've been there. I've done that. I've felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like there was something wrong with me, but it's like, no, it's like who you are right now is exactly worthy and good enough and
purposeful
and 100%. Yeah. Like I just think we're taught. I think so many people look at it from the lens of like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this, I'm not that, or, and it's like, man, but all of that, actually, if you just flip the script and see how good you are right now.
So I mean, watching your journey, you clearly want to be your best self, right? Mm-hmm. But you have showed up every day, even with I'm speaking for you, but I think you have a mental picture of your goals, of who you want to be inside and out, right? But you've still chosen to, it's not like you said, I'll start a podcast when I get here.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think so many of us do that.
Like I think I did it for years. I think for so long, when in 2015, I wanted to do something for step parents, like a podcast. And I was just like, oh, I'm not there enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not there. I got to keep learning, keep all the things. And then finally it was like, what is enough? Like I actually have everything I need to start. And I think, it goes like if my first podcast, I'm not saying I'm perfect at this by any means. I probably never will be, but like, I think my first podcast of what I'm doing now is totally different. Mm-hmm. And I think the way I show up is different. I think I'm more confident in it. And I think, I feel better talking and, but
I did my first webinar yesterday and I hated it. But I'm committed to doing it every month. And I hate it because I love this. Yeah. And I love speaking to a group of people because I'll say, has anyone done this? And tell me your experience with this. And I kind of feed off that energy. But yesterday I'm just basically talking to my presentation, you know?
That's
and
hard.
So it was strange, but I did it. Right. And I've asked for feedback and how can I improve? And I've had the next one scheduled. Right.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
But I think the same thing. It's, and the way you do your podcast, for the most part, you don't always have a guest. Like you're looking at a camera versus this kind of conversation, which this is way easier. I don't know if you feel that way.
No, I do too. I think when I have a guest, it just flows so much faster because I don't feel like it's all on me. But I remember the first few podcasts I recorded, I was like, and I think that's why when I was talking about like writing it out and having a script with me, I do that because I was talking so fast, or I was like, I would forget key things I really wanted to say because I was like, oh, it's just me, people, I got to speed up or whatever.
That was one of the things, the webinar. I know that I talked way too quickly, but I hadn't done it. So I didn't know if I had like way too much material or, all those things we learned.